Hey everyone, hope you're having a wonderful day today. Well, it's fall season, and at least for me, that means it's also expo season. Going through and doing a few different reptile expos and starting to show off all of the babies that I have produced for this season. And that means there's going to be a lot of people looking for those babies. So that's what we're going to talk about today are like 5 different things that you as a guest to a reptile show should take into consideration when you're going to a show and looking for that new snake or other pet reptile that you may find. So stick around. I'm Jack, and I have Avetta here with me today, and you're watching Python Addiction. Today, I have Avetta with me as we talk about 5 different things to consider when it comes to going to a reptile show as a guest. And I want to go through this. They're all interconnected to each other, but so I'm going to kind of talk about them not in any specific order, but the first thing to consider is research. And that is a very broad number one. And that is because you want to do research on the show itself to see the different types of vendors that are going to be at the show, to see if there's going to even be a vendor that has what you might be looking for. If you're looking for a new ball python, how many different ball python vendors are there going to be? Do the research into the different vendors that are going to be there to see what they might have available at that show. Most vendors will have some type of an idea. So if you reach out to a particular vendor itself that will be at the show, you can ask them. I've gotten many different emails or Facebook messages or Instagram messages from people saying that have reached out to me. Hey, I see that you're going to be at this show. What are you planning on bringing? Do you have a general list? And I'm always happy to share at least my general list of what will be coming with me to a show, so they have an idea ahead of time. And I've had customers come right up to my table saying, hey, thanks for that list. I'm looking for this, and I can point right to what they were looking for. So doing the research is a very key thing that you can do to being able to find what you're looking for in advance. But doing research is also doing research on the animal that you're looking at getting. If it's something that you've never had before, maybe you should look at different things that you should know to identify whether or not the animal is healthy or sick, or if it's going to be something that you're going to need to take to a vet to deal with parasites, if it's something that may be a wild caught specimen. So there's lots of aspects of things to consider when it comes to doing your research. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was not to be hesitant to talk and ask questions to the vendor or breeder at the show or via email or anything like that. We're here to give you information on the animals that we produce. So it's perfectly fine, and it's very common for people to ask questions, and don't feel like you're being a burden when it comes to asking particular questions, because these can be key things to knowing if that's going to be a good breeder to get your animal from anyways. So ask things like, when was it born? If it is wild caught, or if it was captive bred, or if it was farm raised or farm bred. ask when it ate last, ask what it's eating. So don't have that hesitation to ask questions. And while you're there, make sure to grab the business card as well, because if you have other questions, if you make a purchase, you can always reach out to them that way. Asking questions and doing that initial contact is a great way at establishing a relationship with that breeder or vendor. The third thing to take into consideration is just a general rule of thumb of making sure you understand, if you're newer to the hobby, what the differences are between wild caught and captive bred or farm bred in relation, as those might be things that you have to understand. If you get a wild caught specimen of a particular animal that might not have a captive bred following or establishment in the hobby, then you might have to take it into the vet to get antiparasitics. There might be other things that you have to watch out for the health condition. So something to understand if you're newer to the hobby, of making sure, again, that falls kind of under the research section of things, but understanding the difference between what captive bred and wild caught actually is. Number 4 is making sure that if you're going to a show and you have an idea, I'm going to get a tegu, that you already have the setup at home ready to go for that tegu that you're going to get. If you're going to go, I want a new ball python, make sure that you already have your setup already set up and ready to go for that new ball python. So it's making sure that you have everything you need. You don't want to make that last minute purchase or that spur of the moment purchase and not have the stuff that you need for the setup. You might not find it available at the show, or you might have to end up ordering something online, which might take a few days to get shipped. So have everything already at home and set up is a great thing to take into consideration before going to a show. And the last thing is more of a kind of rule of thumb. If you find what you're looking for, make the purchase. Don't wait. Pricing is going to be higher or lower to a certain degree at one vendor versus another. If you're only looking for a general morph or something like that in a ball python, or if you're looking for something like a tegu, the pricing is not super different. So in that research phase, do research on where the price range is ahead of time so you have an idea of what you're going to be spending, and talk to the breeder when it comes to if you find an animal that you're really keen on getting, and ask if there's wiggle room. Most of the time there is. I would not make a super lowball offer, as that can sometimes be taken as an insult or considered rude, because there is a lot of effort that we as breeders put into our breeding efforts to produce the animals that you might be interested in. But having that idea of what the price range is going to help in that negotiation phase of getting the animal that you want. It's a lot better than saying, oh, well, let me walk around and see what else is around, and you coming back to that table an hour later or 2 hours later, and the animal that you were really interested in is no longer there. That happens quite often, especially at the more popular shows, that things can move very quickly in, like with ball pythons or some of the very niche animals to where there's only a few produced a year. They can move very quickly. So if you find an animal that you really want, don't hesitate on the purchase. If the animal's pricing is within reason and it's not exactly at your price point, talk to the vendor. And So that's what I kind of wanted to talk about today, is just going over those few. And there, trust me, there's a lot more to take into consideration than just that. But I wanted to keep this video on the shorter side and just give a few tips and stuff that I have found helpful when it comes to going to a show as a guest and not as a vendor, and taking into consideration a few of those key aspects. If you have anything you wanted to add, or you think there was something that other people should really take into consideration, put it in the comment sections below. It'll definitely, I think everyone in the community would benefit from your input. As again, this is just my viewpoint here, and it helps. And I read all of those comments, and those are things that can help me grow as well if it's something that I haven't taken into consideration. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. That lets me know that you like the content that I'm doing. And also, if you've made it this far into the video, and if you haven't done so already, please do hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, hit that notification icon. I tend to do videos at least once a week. I do plan on doing a new series that'll be going on either Wednesdays or Thursdays. I'm still working out the final details on the aspects of what day I'll be publishing, as I do have to work with a couple of people for the captioning aspect of my videos, so I have to work with their availability. But it's going to be on how I use the Husbandry.pro. And speaking of Husbandry.pro, just a real quick shout out to Rob over at Husbandry.pro. Thanks for this sweatshirt. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. It's even got my name with the business name on it. I love it. It's very comfortable. Thank you very much for it. I appreciate it so much. So that's all I wanted to discuss for today. And until next time, I'm Jack. This is my girl, Avetta. You've been watching Python Addiction. Hi, my pretty girl. You want to say goodbye to everyone? Say goodbye.